Whose side should we start with first?
Okay, we'll start.
Whoever invites you to the wedding.
All right. Your grandfather was born 1932.
So then your dad was Ferruccio.
Yeah.
Your mom was Armenia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do those dates look right?
1894. Yeah, that's right.
1898. She was born.
Oh, 98.
And her,
So that's wrong.
1898. No, that's
Armenia
right.
is 1898.
Oh, I thought
That's
you meant
right, because there's 4 years between them.
Yeah, and he
robbed the cradle then.
1894 was him. Yeah, there was 4 years difference. That's right. That's okay.
You know what bastardo means?
No.
Bastard?
Right. But that was my mother's father's name.
Was your mother's father's name was Giovanni Michelon?
You wrote that down?
I believe. Unless that's wrong.
No, that's Armenia Michelon.
Right.
Her father
was Giovanni Michelon.
Yeah. And her mother's maiden name was Teresa Mundine. Is my father Rosario. He was born in 1903, New York City, and he died in 1974 in Queens, New York.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
And my mother is Frances de Stefano, and that's it. That's right. And she was born in 1910. It's Portimbedico is the town. In Sicily.
It is in Sicily.
She was born it was a port.
Oh.
Facing the Mediterranean. They were in a port city. And she died in 1989, right? In Phoenix. Okay, now my father's father was Salvatore. This says Vasil It is Cozzo.
Yeah.
But it was a B. Basile.
Right.
But I was Vasil all my life. When he came over, this Salvatore Vasili Cozzo came over on a ship. And when he went to get his passport to come, they stopped at Ellis Island.
Right.
And there were so many people there.
Yeah.
They made mistakes with names.
Right.
Right.
So you think the original Italian name was with a B?
Yeah. Well, that was my brother when he went into the service.
Oh, yeah. They changed it.
They saw that it was actually a B, and the government said, "You can't use a V. You were born with a B. Basile."
But Salvatore's dad is Libertino Vasili Cozzo. Libertino's name is Vasil, not with a B. All the way back this far.
Oh, so then it was my mother made the mistake saying B for my brother Sal.
For Sal.
Right.
So on his birth certificate,
it has a B instead of a V.
Right.
But when my brother went into service, he said to them, "But I've always been a Vasil." And they said, "Sorry, you want to change it, you got to go to court."
Santanese.
But look where they were born.
Palama di Montechiaro in Sicily.
See? Now, that my mother told me that this area was up on a mountain.
Probably.
To get to where she lived on
the
ocean floor. My mother was born on the ocean floor in a port.
Right.
But her grandmother was born up in the mountains. I know my mother was named after her, Frances. So it's my mother's maiden name is Portera.
Thank God Kirby started it.
I know, right?
Thanks, Kirby.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm so surprised
He did a good job.
he went back to here.
I know, right?
You know, that's
On your dad's
a
side.
long time ago.
For you, on
For
your side.
for
One is on you.
Guzzon,
Yeah.
for Guzzon, this is his mother and his father, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is Giovanni is Aminia's
Dad.
and Teresa is, but Ferruccio's mother was named Tessa.
No,
right.
you got to tell that to Mr. Jazzy.
Razzie.
Razzie.
Yeah.
Oh, good
It was
memory, yeah.
named Tessa.
Tessa's her
That's
his
right.
Her
lady.
name was Tessa. Because
Okay.
I remember
What? And
she kept, Grandpa, my father-in-law, kept saying, your mother looked like his mother, Tessa.
he said that all the time.
Wait, say that again.
I was going to say, why doesn't she write down the name of my father's brothers that I can remember?
Sure.
One was named Dominico, right? Another one was named Virgilio.
I know one was Maria. And when I met her, I couldn't believe it. She was a blonde with blue eyes, and they could not. No, my grandfather's
Who was
name
the
was,
her grandfather's name.
oh, wait a minute, Paul.
That's which was Paolo, probably.
Yeah, Paolo Di Stefano.
Ah.
So, whatever her first name was, oh, it was my name.
Conchetta.
It was my name.
Oh.
Your father, Rosario's brother, was named Thomas.
Right.
Oh, he had more than that,
I'm
brothers.
just saying.
His
One.
first brother was Albert. Then there was Philip.
That's what she was.
Rose was his sister, but
and
she was down the ladder.
But your
It was Albert, Philip, Rosario. Rosario.
Grandpa's?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he didn't like it because they'd make fun of him.
Rosie.
He used to call him Rosie.
That's why he went
in New
by
York
Sal.
City. So he didn't like it.
So then he went by Sal.
Yeah, like his father.
Right.
That's why.
Then there was Thomas.
Which one brought you ice cream?
That was my grandfather.
Or
Salvatore.
Got it. Okay.
And Joseph was one of the boys.
so there were 6 of them.
Look it up.
There was actually 8.
Where's she born?
There was
Well, what was her
There
movie?
was
Movies she
Elizabeth
made was
Gosh.
and Mildred.
So there was Rosario, Rose, Thomas, Albert, Philip, Joseph, Elizabeth, and Millie. That's not in birth order.
No.
And I don't remember if my father had a sister named Rose. He had a sister,
I think so.
but I don't remember her name.
Amazing
All I can
how many-
remember was maybe it was
Rose, yeah.
Armenia's dad's name was
not-
Dominic.
Oh, I said that.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, but I could be wrong. I'm
Yeah,
not remembering.
Well,
that
either Giovanni or Dominic.
I didn't know when people come here from Sicily, even when we were in Arizona, they said, "Oh, we're from Sicily and just came over, and this and that." And I would say to them, "Do you know Portambetico?" You know, because that's where my mother was born, and they didn't know where it was.
Right.
And then one time, somebody said, "Oh, I know Portambetico." I was so excited, you know, that somebody
Right.
was from that little town and port right down by the Mediterranean. Those two, the oldest ones, Alberto and Filippo, were born in Italy.
I assume some of them were
And then
born there.
they came over. And my father was born in New York. And then and Elizabeth was born in
I don't remember that name.
Italy.
And
Millie.
Millie was born and never came to America.
What happened?
She was married. She was the oldest
She wasn't coming over.
I thought you said Albert was the oldest.
of the boys.
Right.
Oh, but she was the
She had
oldest.
2 girls, Elizabeth and Millie, and then she had Albert and Philip. and Philip. I call him Philip because that's what
Right.
he's named, but it's Filippo, Alberto. But they named him Joseph. I know that because my mother used to call him Joseph.
Aunt Rose.
My Aunt Rose was as old as my mother.
And she had no children?
No.
Hmm.
No. She was married twice.
Wow.
She was the only one of all these that married twice.
Mm-hmm.
The first guy.
And who was your grandfather's Rosario? Your father. Who,
My father.
What was his mother's name? Your grandmother's name.
Frances.
And you knew her?
No, I didn't know. She died when she was 60.
Okay, so you
And
knew,
I was born, but I was an infant
No,
when
okay. You never had grandparents
I had that one.
Salvatore.
Salvatore.
who brought you ice cream.
That mean Salvatore.
He was mean.
Oh,
Oh, really?
he was mean to me
Well, anyway,
Why was he mean?
over here it
because he
says.
would never give me any ice cream.
Over here it says.
Good to know. I'll write that down.
Exactly.
You're being recorded.
Oh,
My-
am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm recording it.
This says.
Can't
my
remember all
father,
this stuff.
Ferruccio Guzzon, and he had a son by the name of Silvio.
He was born in Italy.
Veneto, that's good enough.
Veneto, right?
Veneto,
What's
yeah.
your middle name?
My middle name?
Yeah.
I try to think.
I didn't.
It
I
starts
thought it
with
was,
an A.
Oh, I've been wrong.
Attilio. Attilio.
That's your middle name?
Yeah. I'll write it.
No.
Right.
I thought it was Antonio. What's wrong with me?
We changed it from
He used to
Attilio.
say that. Then he found out it was wrong.
So
I found out what that it
You
was.
used to say,
That's what they told me.
Yeah.
Because on my one birth certificate I got, it says Attilio.
yeah.
Then on another birth certificate I got, it says Antonio.
I believe
Oh.
it. I believe
Ah.
that. That's a little. That's.
Oh, you
good
think
for,
it starts with an O?
I think I knew that.
Oh my God.
You-
So
I
was
don't know.
Julio born in America or
yes, he was
Okay.
born.
So both of you boys were born here.
Right.
The second and the third
Yeah.
brother. So why did your father leave Italy?
I don't know. And I
Yeah.
told my grandson,
Austin.
Austin.
he keeps asking me, and I said, you have a rapport with your cousin in Italy. Ask him.
Christina Guzzon in Italy.
It was right after World War One,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy that came to power during World War One was Benito Mussolini,
Right.
and he had a show. They did a show on him on PBS or something, The Power and Rise of Mussolini,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a petty politician, and he bullshitted himself to prominence.
Mm-hmm.
And he got himself elected like a councilman and whatever, and
Minister.
minister of education, and he got in with the church,
Mm-hmm.
and my father got out of the service
Mm-hmm.
in probably
He was in the
19
war.
In World War One.
Right.
World War One.
Ferruccio.
right.
Ferruccio
And
was, and he went to, where did he go that time?
he
Where
went
he got his
all over
malaria?
Albania.
Albania.
Oh, I forgot. Where's
And-
that exactly?
That's across the Adriatic Sea. And it's like, first you got Yugoslavia, and then you got
That's right.
Albania, and then you got a few others.
Oh,
And then in that same time,
Mm-hmm.
they had a revolution in the Mideast. There was something called the Ottoman Empire.
Hmm.
They were what the heck was the Ottomans? Do you remember? The Ottomans had their capital in Constantinople. They had their their power in Constantinople, and the Ottoman Empire, which was the Muslims. They took over a lot of countries in Iran and them countries, and they decimated the Constantinople people.
Right.
And
So Italy sent their troops.
no, not them.
Well, we want to know why he was in Albania.
Because the Allies, which made up of the French, the English, and the Turks, and whatever, they went to liberate or fight for the Ottoman Empire against the Muslims.
Oh, against the Muslims.
Right, and they took over, and
that's why your father was in Albania.
Right, he was helping. He was sent there by.
He was a recruit to go.
He was in the
army.
He was recruited in the army.
Right.
He was in the army.
Right.
So when he was
He
there,
was in cavalry.
He was in the cavalry, and I have some information about
cavalry,
his military service back home.
You do have that. That's right in the strong box.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he got sick. He contracted malaria there,
Yeah.
and one of his legs became shorter than the other
from so many injections
of the
malaria.
quinine.
Yeah, the quinine
injection to make him fever come down.
Right. That's why he limped a little, as you noticed.
So he had a war injury.
Right.
But was he married at the time?
No, he didn't get married until like
what came back to
1920, maybe 21, anywhere from 1919 to 20. That's when he got married.
I think it is.
So how did he meet his wife?
Well,
your mother.
Not only did the Italian army serve in Italy, but they also served on the northern front of Italy, which was fighting against the Austrians. And there was the Alps up there, and they had constant battles with the Germans and the Austrians, and that's what he was doing. He was fighting up there, and
he met.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's where he met.
Used to go from wherever they were through the town that she lived in, and they would camp there or something. They would have dances, and that's how she met him. She called him a big dumb jerk with big feet, stepped all over you. So
it's on record.
But he married her anyway.
Oh,
is that cute? Yeah. So
she was a peasant.
Oh, she was a peasant girl, right?
She didn't own shoes.
Yeah.
She didn't own shoes.
She used to show me the rocks in her feet.
So your father, on Guzzon's side, you're very northern Italian, like, no pasta sauce. It was all polenta and stew.
On the side of the bed too.
And soup.
And soup.
Right.
And
beans.
And beans. And
so they weren't really like like what you
classic.
think of, right?
No. So
we used to joke that when we went to the movies, you could see the Indian in the Indian movies.
Because she was so dark.
Oh, she was dark.
High cheekbones.
Big
very
nose.
Shiny, long black hair, like an Indian.
And broad and stocky.
Yes, she was.
And strong. Very, very strong. Compared to like your mom.
Oh, yeah, my mother was a pussycat compared to
And wedding, I'd have to look at the papers that I have.
But he would look like Frenchman to me.
Who?
Grandpa Guzzon.
Oh, yeah, he looked French.
Your great-grandfather. Great-great-grand.
He looked.
I have one or two pictures of her.
Really?
Yeah. Her and my Uncle John.
You see her, you'd say, you could see, look at your grandfather and you could see the resemblance of his mother, but she was 4 times darker. She was not
I
gray.
said 2 years old. They came to the States sometime around 23 to 25, maybe 26. And they stayed and they went to live with her brother, Uncle John,
Here in New York.
in Brooklyn.
He was the sponsor.
And they lived in a predominantly European neighborhood. You had Italians from Italy, from Sicily, all the way to Florence, and Genovese, and then you had,
and her roommates going to Florence.
Yeah.
and then you had Spanish, high class Spanish, and then you had Germans, and you had Irish.
All lived in your own neighborhood.
All lived in the same neighborhood.
Right.
And their first apartment that they lived in was occupied by Uncle John's, but there was a unknown. Well, they all lived together. I think they slept, and then when somebody got out of the bed, somebody else went into bed.
And it was a railroad apartment. You know what that means?
I know.
No.
It
No.
means
What do you mean? By the railroad?
No.
No.
You open the door,
Uh-huh.
and it's the kitchen.
Okay.
And when you open the door and it's the kitchen, and you look, there was no door, any more doors, until you saw the window for the other side of the building.
It was like railroad.
So
car.
you were kitchen,
Stacked.
living room, bedroom,
like
bedroom, bathroom.
So you had to walk.
No bathroom.
No bathroom. Where did they?
No, it was
eat?
in the hall.
So
And-
it's
and-
shared.
bathroom.
Right.
Right.
They were poor.
And all it was
I
was a
mean,
bathroom.
They had no money.
And you took, and then underneath everybody's bed was a potty bowl. So if you got it in the middle of the night and you didn't want to venture out into the hallway, into the cold bathroom, because there was no central heating,
What was that called again? It had a name. Chamber pot.
Yeah.
chamber pot.
Can you imagine that?
And that was the,
See, that was
the
not
job
me.
of the mothers to empty the
What year was that about?
The 20s.
In the 20s.
So when
depression actually started, say, 29. That's when the crash was.
We're babies of the Depression. I remember my mother, rushing us to get up and get out because they had to wait online for milk. And I remember crying because my mother didn't have enough coupons
For shoes, probably.
to buy me a pair of shoes because my sister Frances was 4 years older
Right.
and she was going to school. So my mother said, no, she has to get the shoes. She has to go to school.
Right.
And oh, God.
So
That's why I stole her clothes when she got older.
Right.
This was a railroad flat, and the first thing, this was stairs over here, and you went down the stairs, you made a turn, and you went down the stairs, and you made a turn.
Oh, one
over
of
here.
those.
You go down here, and you go down
You
again.
weren't born. Were you born when they were still in that apartment?
Hell, no, I was born in 24 Stockton Street.
Same kind of apartment.
Same kind of apartment.
But
This was the railroad flat. You walked in right here,
I'll have a piece of dessert.
and the door was here. And over here was a petition. And the city of New York deemed that you had to have ventilation. So then there was the master bedroom was here.
Where they all slept?
No, that's
no, this
where
is the
mother
different
and
one.
dad slept.
Oh.
And every there was them, and then there was another bedroom over here. There was a bedroom here.
How many bedrooms did you have? I only had.
No, we had more. We went from front to back. You only went,
We had half.
yeah.
I don't know. What were your parents like?
If you didn't eat your meal,
They'd hit you.
You
Oh,
ate
yeah.
it. You were starving. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
you had a lot of soup.
Lots of soup.
Soup, macaroni in the
No,
soup.
you didn't.
Over here you had
No,
a
but I mean,
kitchen.
it's his-
It was a
I
stove.
don't wanna say.
This
Oh,
was
my mother
where the
never made
stove
everything.
was to heat the house. And over here was a hot water heater. And this only came up to about maybe 4.5 feet, this window.
He remembers that.
And there was
Yeah.
a big opening up on the top
Uh-huh.
where the air,
Went ventilated.
yeah,
Yeah. Right.
the heat from this went up
Mm-hmm.
and it passed on down to the next place. And
All right, and, let's step up to
yeah,
when you were a teenager and you were listed in the Navy.
oh jeez.
I heard you told me a long time ago.
Yeah, he needed to get away from Mussolini.
That's what I heard you say.
That's right.
Mussolini wanted to get all the ex-soldiers to join
That's right,
his
Katie.
Next regime, right?
right.
And,
And
your father said, "Forget him.
he
I don't
left
like
without his wife
Right.
and baby.
Ah.
He
Right.
ran away.
He ran away. He was a defector. Is
Yeah.
this true?
Yep.
He left the army. He
He
went.
left there.
in his country.
He was not in the army anymore.
duty,
He
right?
was working.
Right.
A little work that they had, he
Little
was
bit of work.
working. But he didn't want to stay. He didn't like Mussolini's politics.
Right. And so then
Where-
he left.
Right.
They called them the black shirts.
Yep.
Left.
Mussolini's men.
Yeah.
They used to say the black shirts are coming.
Mm.
So his wife, Armenia, the wife,
Your great grandmother.
said, "I'll tell everybody you're a loser, that you left me, so I don't get in trouble. He left me."
Yeah, she
That
was worried
louse.
that
The story, that was their
that she
story.
would be jailed.
Right.
Wow.
No,
How many years later could he have to save his money to get her?
Oh.
4 years. Well, how many years apart is
He's-
Silvio and Julia?
he got.
oh,
she got
it was
to come
3
here
years.
3 years.
about 1926 thereabouts, and there was a full depression then.
Mm-hmm.
No work.
And she had to come over in steerage, probably.
She did.
Yeah, because he couldn't afford to send her first class. Are you kidding me?
Are you
Right.
kidding me?
Okay.
She was down in the
So
bottom
what
of the
else?
hole.
So then when
Wow.
you were a teenager.
Yeah. What did I do?
He was 19. Yeah.
No.
Well, he had a promise
could've
4,
served.
and he did 4.
Right.
Didn't want to serve anymore
Oh, I
after I
don't
got
blame
married.
Oh, because you got married when you were in the Navy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys couldn't wait. You had to get married.
That's right. That's what everybody said.
Right, tell him.
22 and 20. They were
How
so
am I going to
old.
tell her what? Yeah, you stayed. Until
Not
you-
only that, Katie, I'm going to tell you a little side story.
Okay.
He's in service.
Uh-huh.
I planned the whole wedding myself.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
The place, the flowers, the wood, the music, everything myself.
Mm-hmm.
We just write letters to each other.
Right.
I love you.
Okay. 2 weeks before the a week before the wedding. A week. 1 week, or maybe even less.
Oh, God. Wow.
I'm at work. I get a call. They said, "You got to take this call. It's long distance." I said, "Oh, the only one I knew long distance was him."
Right.
So I answered the phone. I thought,
There you
something
go.
happened to him.
I don't want that.
He says, "I can't marry you."
What?
And I said, "What?" He's, "I can't marry you. I'm being shipped out."
Oh, God.
He was in Norfolk, Virginia then.
The Army didn't. Navy didn't care.
And I said, "What? You can't do that."
So I could have been transferred or sent overseas to Italy.
Yeah.
And that would have been my home base on a ship.
Uh-huh.
So I go to my
I had no idea that.
My
No.
That's nice.
How about my
immediate
dessert?
immediate
Jenna's
um,
getting it.
I know, I'm slow.
She's
officer, and I said, "I'm getting married." He said, "I can't help you.
Chocolate,
Oh.
lemony.
You're the next guy on the list
She's
to go."
Uh-huh.
with fruit.
A
So
little
he works
cheesecake and a
out
little chocolate.
something where he sends my friend Joe Romeo in my
Wait, he
place.
sent. Oh, he sent.
And did Joe happy about that? Did Joe speak Italian like you?
No, I don't
Is that
think
why they
so.
wanted you? Because you spoke Italian?
No, your name was on the list.
They
to get
didn't care.
transferred. They didn't care. When you put enough time on, your billet was you
Oh,
worked
I
in the
have heard this
engine room.
story.
You worked in the engine room. You knew about oil.
He
You
worked in
knew-
the engine room of the ship.
You knew how to get the ship underway if you had to, and you knew about taking oil aboard. You knew how to dispense the oil. You knew about steam. So I was next. So Joe was the same thing. He knew.
You said, "See it, Joe."
And then you went
It
back
was
and got
only-
married.
Not even a week.
I went to go back.
Then you went and got married after Joe went.
Well, no, we still
Yeah,
had
because he says, I'll call you back. First he says, we can't get married. And then I said, what do you mean can't get married? Everybody's coming to the wedding in a couple days.
Oh my
Well-
god.
Well, lo and behold, he calls me back the next day. And I'm home, I'm crying. I tell my parents, everybody's yelling and screaming.
Dominic?
I had plane reservations.
Of
We were going to
course.
Florida
Oh
for
my God.
honeymoon. Ooh,
Wow.
So
thank you.
I forgot
Wow.
about that.
What a
Thank
trip.
God to Joe Romeo.
mm,
And I never,
what a
I
name.
never, and I wanted to meet this Joe Romeo,
she
but I
did after,
never got to meet him.
Mr. Romeo.
Mm.
when I was
His
working.
name was perfect for
and
We probably could
my
find him
father
on
was still
Facebook
in the
now.
hospital. When my father was in the hospital, Joe come to the job. that
Oh, I
was
didn't
working.
know that.
And I brought him to our house, and we had spaghetti, macaroni, and dinner.
I don't remember that.
So now we're starting on Grandma's side. I guess.
My mother and father came to this country
Give
on
me
the
half
ship.
a piece of what she's got. Half.
After she shoves that.
No more than that.
Her honeymoon was
No
that
cream.
No cream.
ship
No frosting.
Oh yeah. Right.
across the Atlantic.
Right.
And where do you think she got pregnant?
Chocolate.
On the ship.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll take
But it wasn't her. That was the bountiful bounty. It was
Frances
Salvador.
got pregnant on the ship.
And
That's
my
her
mother
honeymoon.
knew nothing about
Nothing.
nothing.
And she couldn't call from the ship. Hello.
Can you help me out with this? Not sure what I'm doing.
So here comes my mother to America.
Oh,
She doesn't know she's pregnant.
No. And she had my sister in 8 months. So everybody here in America, Italian, were talking that my mother,
She was premature. The baby.
that she had sex before her marriage.
Oh.
And my
I
mother
didn't say that.
No,
You weren't born yet.
I tell you the truth. My poor mother, she didn't understand what they were talking about. She had this long, beautiful hair, and my Aunt Rose,
Who was born here in America.
who was
Who
born
was
here,
a
she
virgin.
says, you got to cut that hair off, and you got to learn to speak English if you want to stay here in America.
Dang.
She
'Cause her
came
hair-
here 1927.
So.
Cried, she said, when she cut her hair.
Oh.
She wouldn't tell her mother in Italy because she was ashamed.
I find it sad she never saw her family ever again.
Never saw.
That is really sad.
That's so
She
sad.
cried many a time. Her father died during World War II.
But like we are so. I mean, she never talked even on the phone to them.
No.
No, I didn't do that.
They
I
wrote,
wrote.
letters.
Right.
And it took a month.
And send packages.
my mother had a lot of children, and she wasn't doing good, depression and all that. She always sent a package to my grandmother. One day, this lady came, Italian lady, moved into the neighborhood, came to see my mother, and she was from the same
What's
town.
This is cheesecake. I don't know if you want that.
This is.
Oh, that's delicious. Kiwi.
Yeah.
Anyway, she told my mother, "You send packages to your family?"
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Yeah, I'm sending packages." She says, "You live poorer than they do." But she came to, I gotta tell you this, she came to America, this she told me. She came to America with, in those days, you had a dowry.
Dowry.
Mm-hmm.
She had a big chest full of handmade clothes, sheets, where they, and the sheets where they crochet the edges.
And like tablecloths and linen.
And linens.
Yeah.
It was full.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's, that was what they gave her.
I saw some of it.
Oh, yeah.
I had a dowry.
So when she came here,
Mm-hmm.
and she was in this living quarters with just
nothing,
no windows around, and she was used to this looking at the ocean, and she felt so depressed. My mother, she didn't say that.
Right.
She just said, "I sent everything back."
Oh.
And I said, "My sister could have it, the one next to her." She said, "I don't need that here. I don't need to impress anybody here."
That's right.
My poor mother. I felt so bad. And she saved 1 or 2 items, and I think I still have it,
Mm-hmm.
of linen pillowcases with crocheted edges. Linen. And you had to press those.
Right.
But anyway,
Right.
I had to tell you that she... Well, anyway, so...
So her kids were everything to her. Because she had no family.
Oh, my mother. And she was the most loving person.
Mm-hmm.
She's like me.
Did she
I'm
get
like her. I like a party. I like birthdays. I like
Did
your
she-
mother,
Did she get along with her aunt? Her aunt? Her mother-in-law was her aunt.
Well,
A mother-in-law.
well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Miranda's
Well,
Rosie.
she felt sorry for her.
No, she felt no, but it was. Did her husband's mother remind her of her mother?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Because they're sisters. It'd be like you and
and
Jim.
they
Francis. No.
they would communicate.
Francis.
She says, "Take care of my daughter." She says, "I'll take care of your daughter."
Right. I mean, think about that.
But she
Right.
died.
Oh, how old was she when she died?
I was like born.
Hmm.
Oh, she didn't know her very long.
So she didn't speak English at all when she got here,
No.
but your dad did
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
My
But
father
he was
had a
fluent.
business. He had a business
in New York.
in New York.
Oh, talk about that.
He had a billiard.
I mean,
He had a billiard
George Adams
store
was crazy.
across the street from the hospital. A hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and they would play pool,
Mm-hmm.
The
cards.
Let off steam from the busy hospital day.
They'd come in, and my
Drink.
father must have had, drinks and stuff.
It
And
was prohibition, but he still had it in the
That's
back
right.
room.
oh yeah, and they
He had it
had
in the back room, right?
betting and stuff.
Yeah.
And my father was doing well.
Wasn't he good with numbers,
Oh,
math?
I don't know.
I'm asking Mom.
my father was
No. I don't know
absolute
if she know.
mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know. What
He
did.
had to stop going to school. My
Uh-huh.
father,
Mm-hmm.
because my grandfather said to him, "You got to go to work." So my poor father had to leave, and he loved school. No, then see that was 27, 28, 29.
He lost his
I wasn't even
business,
born.
didn't he? In the
Right.
And the
Depression?
crash,
He lost everything. Right?
yeah, the doctors didn't come anymore. And not only that, but
He
when
was
he
one
was in
of-
Italy for 6 months,
Courting.
wooing my mother, My Uncle John.
I don't know.
My Uncle John took care of the business.
And ran it in the ground?
Yeah.
I don't know why I knew that.
He wasn't a business person. He would go there and drink and have fun, you know. And they would steal him left arm and blind.
Life was so simple then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was simple. My foot.
Not
So my
simple.
father said,
You're lucky you lived.
I will never own another business again.
And he never did.
Nope. He worked for your father.
That's rough.
My father worked for my husband.
Mm.
So then World War II comes along.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, all of my the youngest uncles go in the service.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did.
So Rosario's brothers.
Then, towards the end,
Did he have?
he had 5 then.
And they wanted him to
So
go.
they sent him a draft notice.
Sal.
Rosario.
Right.
How old was he? 40?
40.
They-
So my father said, I'm going to get my wife pregnant again. So Rosie was born.
So they-
But he couldn't hear. He became
He
a
would have failed
He
anyway.
would have failed anyway. No, he was already 4F.
What's 4F?
That means designation or a classification. You can't go because you're you
Flat
got
feet or you can't
or you
hear,
can't
can't
hear.
see.
Or you got
He
too
fell.
many.
He fell out of
too
a
many
window when he
appendix.
was a kid, and he had one of his
Oh yeah, he
eardrums.
couldn't hear.
One of his eardrums was
Rupture.
yeah. About 6 months later, the war was over.
And the
So-
government didn't want to, take care of the rest of the family. So
Oh, that was so funny because my poor mother. That was number 7 live
Right.
children.
That's a lot.
I mean, she died at 79. She would be 80 in a month.
Mm.
She knew she had cancer. She was so sick.
No.
How did she not know?
She died of cancer?
She died of
How is she
cancer of
supposed
the
to know?
liver.
Because you gotta
Because-
feel bad.
well, she
She
did feel
had
bad, but she didn't know it
gallbladder
was
problem.
that.
Oh, interesting.
And my father got cancer of the colon.
Mm-hmm.
He got operated on, and she took care of him, and she had a gallbladder attack. And she would not go
That's what I'm saying.
to the hospital to get it done because taking care of my father.
Oh.
So, I don't know how she resisted that pain. I don't know.
I'm telling
Well, then she moved to Arizona, and she was late in life.
Mm-hmm.
she lived there about 7 years. maybe.
Yeah. And had her own place. Never had a cane. She walked straight as an arrow. Both my mother and mother-in-law.
She didn't drive though. Mom would say, "It's your turn to go get your grandma." I would bring her to the grocery store. She'd say, "Oh, I like your car." I had this little Buick. We'd go to Smitty's,
Yeah.
and she loved that grocery store. We could be there for hours.
She'd stand up and walk around and go to a hardware store.
Yeah, and
She had more gadgets in her house.
My favorite thing. This is my favorite line. "I'll take a half a pound of gabagool. And is it fresh?" Always asked if it was fresh.
And would they ever say no?
Right.
They never said.
And the little guy would go, she was about 4'10", maybe 4'10". I was like a foot taller than her. And I'd look at the guy and he'd go, "Yes, it's fresh." "Oh, okay, thank you." And he'd give her the half a pound. She couldn't even reach it. I'd have to.
Or she would say to him, I don't want chopped meat, the meat chopped on the shelf. I want you to, but she bought a fresh piece of chuck.
Yep. Chop it for me. And some of the young butchers, what?
What do you want? And cut the fat out. I don't want the fat.
Oh, and every vet she touched.
So she was the cook. That's where this all came
Yeah.
from.
Yes.
Okay.
She was the cook.
Yeah, our father was a cook. all the recipes you love.
Yeah.
Lasagna, the
Yeah.
sauce, all that
It's
is
the
from.
one
Seal
that
cake.
didn't
Uh-huh.
sink the fishing vessels.
That's where it comes from.
When I put all this together in like a nice package, I have to get all the pictures too
Oh, that would be fun.
to put in.
That that would be have an
Your
eye
cousins,
contact.
your cousins alive. Your cousins should kiss you for this. They
Yeah.
owe you.
They need to. They do.
The boys all owe you for this.